a great first couple episodes, man. This has been everything I could ask for from this show so far, and more.
It's been in just 2 episodes. I'm so drawn in, and I've gotten chills in so many parts. It's unbelievable.
In so many of your parts or parts of the show?
Both right there.
1, 2, 3, 4.
Hey, welcome to After Hours. We're back this week talking about The Last of Us. So we just watched episode 1 last week, just finished episode 2. We wanted to get into a little bit before we sat here and discussed it a little bit. And like we were saying, amazing. So
Yes.
What you were just talking about is one of the things I wanted to say. The thing that hits me the strongest is like the performances in the game are amazing. Like there's no doubt about that. Like that's what was one of the things that was so good about the game. There's this level of emotion and like the heaviness of it all.
Yep.
But there's so much more you can get from a show with real actors' faces, especially Joel, right? Like we all know he like comes across most of the first game as a hard ass, and like you don't really start to see breaks in his emotion until later on. But you can just see like little glints in Pedro Pascal's eyes sometimes, or a little smirk that he tries to hide quickly.
Yeah, it's some of the micro acting that really the micro expressions that bring you in, and you're just like, like you can't get this in a game. Like the game is it's CG. You can't get facial expression. You can't get instant reactions. You don't get a real life emotion in a sense. So this brings it to a whole new level, and it's hard to say like this is already peak. So far, this is the peak of the performance of everything. It's only been 2 episodes, so imagine where they draw it out later.
Right. And they are kind of drawing it out. And that's one thing I really like about this. And I think this is how you do a video game adaptation correctly, wherein you stick to the source material very well. And you show, for the most part, everything that's showed in the game that's not just, extra. And then you add on to it. Right. Yes. So, like we were saying before we started recording, one thing I really liked about episode 2 and episode 1, but episode 2 was they gave the little flashback of Jakarta at the start of the outbreak.
Yeah, and it really gives you a lot of building blocks, because if you think about that's bringing up Pedro Pascal's past things he's been back past TV shows, whatever. Mandalorian did that. They would do a lot of flashbacks, right, and build stuff. Arrow, back on CW. Did that to where they told present day story, and then they do flashbacks to build the main story. And so with the stuff they showed in Jakarta, really gave you the chills just on the doctor. Was like, I've studied this my whole life, not spoiling, but there's nothing we can do.
Yeah, which and like her expression in that moment when he was like, "What should we do?" and she's like, bomb it. Like I was like, that's generally like we see a lot of zombies and stuff, but like that was probably genuinely the most frightening thing, just because like sheer lack of hope.
Yeah, that gave me chills, because her reaction was just kill everyone. There's nothing you can do. You just destroy everything, and that actually gave me chills. So I was like, wow, like she took one look and immediately just panicked, knowing what that type of that fungus does.
Right. And then they did the same thing at the beginning of episode 1, where they had the scientist on the show in like the late 60s saying like, this is a possibility of something that could happen in the future. And they kind of laugh him off at first. He takes a much more serious tone of like, no, let me explain how this could happen. Everybody's just silent. Right.
Yeah. And what's funny is I think this, The Last of Us came out at the perfect moment, with the world just dealing with COVID. And that's basically what happened. The world shut down. You didn't know who was sick, how you would get sick. If you did get sick, it was a lot of worrying. Am I going to be? What's going to be the after effects? Am I going to die? Right. So it's the perfect, and the fact that they have it taking place in 2023. So, and now that we're going into 2023, we're on the back end of the after effects of COVID, still economic, physical. People are still getting COVID. There's another strain out. So
Right.
I think that's what makes it more realistic and draws the audience into it.
Right. So clearly, like, this is a horror drama type show, right? And it is. It's definitely scary. Not so much in like the usual jump scare way, but in like the whole shit, like this could be real type of way. But the other aspect of this show is it's fucking gorgeous. Especially in episode 2, like just seeing nature retake everything in the city. Boston is breathtaking, and I think they do it a lot better in the show. Once again, it's always going to probably look better on a screen with a big budget than in a video game, but it definitely hit a lot harder in the show.
Yeah, well, and visually, a show like this I compare to like early Walking Dead. Season 1 of Walking Dead, when Rick first woke up, you saw the after effects of a city, post-apocalypse, but it's nothing compared to how colorful and, again, I'm going to say realistic looking that The Last of Us does. They draw you into the scenery. They show you, you had what happens, when humans don't touch stuff for 20 years. Nature grows, animals come around. There is some beauty in some of the craziness that they were showing, even just like the most disgust when they were waiting in the water, when they were going through the water, you're still like, wow, like they're ducks. This still looks good, so I love some of the visual effects, the acting. A lot of it is really, really, really good.
Yeah, and then the makeup design for the infected is just out of this world.
It's just like the game.
They did a little segment after the episode. I don't know if you watched it, but where they break down some parts of the show. And Craig Mazin, one of the showrunners, along with the creator of the game and partial showrunner on the show, Druckmann, we're talking about Craig Mazin did the Chernobyl series, which was great.
I remember that. Yeah,
and so he immediately went to the costume or the makeup artist for that, or the prop designer, whatever you want to call him, and brought him over to do this, and they were immediately like, "This is our guy. Like, he's got it." And they look super realistic. I mean, they look better than I would have imagined coming out of a TV show. Even I mean, it's HBO. Like, they have the money.
They have the money for this, so that's
they have the money to make real zombies.
They probably are actually having some of these in their basement, just waiting for the right moment to make a TV show about this. The world's first zombie. What happens?
Good.
No, I was just gonna say, like, it's. I'm interested on where this goes and where everyone else, like all these other major streaming platforms, take gaming into actual TV series, because there are some games that you can make TV series out of if you do it right. I mean, you have not Halo, please. Oh, we have Red versus Blue. I give them that one. That's the TV show it needs. But I mean, like, one game that recently came out, God of War, you can make a TV show out of God of War franchise.
Yeah,
especially the last 2 that dropped, Ragnarok and what was the one?
Just God of War.
Yeah, God of War. Like, just a lot of these you can make stuff out of. I mean, please don't do Destiny. Please do not do a Destiny movie. Don't know.
But no, you're right. You're right, and I think now with where TV shows are, I think that's probably the avenue to explore most of these games. Uncharted would be cool. Like, a lot of the the action adventure genre.
Well, and even the movie for Uncharted, that was actually a pretty good movie.
Nice shot.
With Tom Holland.
I didn't watch it. I mean,
it wasn't, for a movie, it wasn't bad.
Oh, okay.
I don't know if a TV series out of that one, but I mean, the movie was good. It wasn't trash. But again, they fit a game into a couple hours, so that's a little different.
And that's my point, right? Like, we've seen so many bad video game adaptations in the past, it's because they try to shove it in an hour and a half, 2 hour movie for a 20-hour game, and and that's why I think the Last of Us, they were approached before about making this into a movie, and they just couldn't come to a like how could we really fit the emotional complexity of this game into a 2-hour movie, and that's why they decided not to do that. And then they came back around like, hey, let's make it a TV show, and that's when they started talking for real.
Yeah, I mean,
and I'm glad they did, because you couldn't even process just Joel's transformation of a human being in a 2-hour movie, much less everything else that goes on and all the other characters.
It's too much emotionally and just story wise that you can't fit that into like a 2.5 hour movie. You can't even do a Zack Snyder cut of this, trying to give him a 4 or 6 hour movie and saying that here's what it is, because there's too much of those small interactions that made The Last of Us good, as far as storytelling. It wasn't the action that made it good, it was the storytelling, and that's really it.
I'm excited for the coming episode. It seems like, based on like here's what's next week, they're finally gonna meet some of the other main characters of the show. What's his name? Bill.
Oh yeah, Bill. You probably know better than I, because I haven't played The Last of Us in forever.
Yeah, Bill and Frank.
Yeah, Bill and Frank. Okay, so I was right.
But you got Nick Offerman playing Bill, and I just fucking adore him, and he looks like a badass in this. And based on the little preview we saw, it looks like he's still got a little bit of his Nick Offerman humor.
Oh, that's even better.
Yeah, he was like, this isn't an Arby's. But yeah, no, I'm excited. So I think we'll probably give another couple episodes and probably revisit and see if we still think it's as amazing as we do right now. But I mean, I was timidly like anxious for House of the Dragon, right? When it started up on HBO, and then I got a couple episodes in, and I was like, oh my god, this is phenomenal. And this, I'm starting out with, this is phenomenal. So hopefully it just keeps getting better.
So I'm like, where do I go? It's higher than phenomenal, or do we just stay at that peak the whole time? Because House of the Dragon kind of gave you a good up and down.
Yeah, I just really appreciate that they don't feel like this needs to be action packed every second of the show. Kind of like we talked about with Andor. Like there's something about building like characters more than just us needing to see action. Like I really enjoy that in a
give me storytelling and then fill it in with action as needed. Don't hit me with action 24/7 and then I'm like, okay, like, can we get some character development? Like, yeah, that's what I want to see. So and that's what that's what The Last of Us game did, and Andor did, was it gave you storytelling and then the action as needed to fill in gaps, to transition to the next plot line.
Yep. Well, cool, man. I'm excited to watch more of this. And we got a few good movies and some other shows starting over the next few weeks. So I'm sure we'll be back here in the next week or two. If we're not talking about Last of Us, we'll be talking about something. And we only got a few weeks until Ant-Man Quantumania, and you can be for sure we'll be talking about that.
Oh yeah, that's gonna be fun because we'll probably end up seeing it a couple of times now that I think about it.
Oh, for sure. For sure. All right. Well, thanks, CJ, as always. Love hanging out.
Thank you.
We'll actually watch something together one of these days. And
yeah. So just a short story, guys. Him and I have been like on different timelines when watching. Usually we watch these episodes together. Yeah, it hadn't been happening the past couple of times, but we'll align again. So,
all right. Well, have a good night, y'all. And we'll catch you next week.
Peace.